There has been a ton of incredible superhero content recently. Superman, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Invincible, Daredevil, Born Again. Lots of great movies and shows for superhero fans to enjoy. But there is something new that I didn't see coming, and I honestly think it might be better than everything I've listed so far. Dispatch, a game from Ad Hoc Studio. With the interactive story, the profound narrative, and the excellently crafted characters, Dispatch could potentially be the next best superhero story. So in order to find out if it truly is, I'm gonna break down my playthrough of Dispatch with all the decisions I made throughout the game, while I also explain what makes this story so good. But with all that said, let's get started with Episode 1. Episode 1 opens up with Robert Robertson, the main character of the story, and the secret identity of a superhero named Mecha Man. He's looking for a supervillain named Shroud, who we learned has killed his father, who is the previous Mecha Man, and now he's interrogating one of Shroud's henchmen, trying to find Shroud's current location. We eventually make him talk, but that's when I'm faced with the first big decision of the game. Do I pull him back up, or do I let him fall? I mean, he told us where he is, so I feel like we should pull him back.
It was nice talking to someone.
I guess that guy will remember that. Alright, which turns out to be a pretty dumb decision, because after Robert suits up and infiltrates the base, we run back into this guy and uh-oh, he's a supervillain, and uh-oh, this is a trap. And to make matters worse, bro is rocking the Dr. Manhattan fit, which is nothing. He's wearing nothing. Is he Dr. Manhattan it right now?
Cool dick.
We fight for a bit, and I surprisingly do a good job at all the QuickTime events. And after being cornered and nearly dying, Robert manages to actually escape, and wow, everything's going to be okay. Nothing bad will happen now. After the explosion, Robert holds a press conference where he confirms that the Mecha Man suit is beyond repair, and he's now retiring as a hero. Also, this reporter says some absolute nonsense, so I make the only practical decision.
How disappointed would your dad be if he were here right now?
Yeah, I'm attacking this dude. I don't care. He deserves it. Yep. Robert then tries to stop a robbery with his broken arm, where he gets folded like a slightly used napkin. But then that's when an important character shows up, Blonde Blazer, who, statistically speaking, half of you really like, and the other half don't. After getting us out of that pickle, she takes Robert for a drink where she shows some early signs of alcoholism. Robert gets in a scuffle with a tool named Flambe, who's wearing sunglasses at night, and here we get a really funny option to either throw alcohol on him or water. Now, you would think that the alcohol would be the worst option, but as I've learned that only burns off his eyebrows, I instead chose to throw water on him, which instead did this. That reminds me of that one video at the graduation where the guy fell off the stage. Robert is kicked out of the bar, and so him and Blonde Blazer take their little adventure elsewheres. And we also get this beautiful flying sequence that honestly kind of reminds me of Invincible. They park on this rooftop where Blazer confesses that she knows Robert's true identity, and there is this moment where the player can choose to give her a smooch. Yeah, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. Listen, she's cool and all, and I know a bunch of you like her, but she's not my favorite love interest of the game, and I got bigger plans. She wants him to work for the Superhero Dispatch Network in exchange for them fixing the Mecha Man suit. So she gives him a test, which is just a tutorial for the core gameplay of Dispatch, so I'll go over the gameplay when we're actually in it. Robert passes the test, of course, and Blonde Blazer is so wasted, she fell asleep on his arm. Like, come on. After that awkward moment, Robert agrees to join the SDN, and that's the end of episode 1. All in all, as a starting episode, it was solid. It works as a tutorial for the gameplay, and more importantly, it created a solid foundation for Robert's story this season. And at the end of each episode, Dispatch will also give you stats compared to other players and the actions they took. So I and only 49% of players decided to throw water on Flambe. I and 46% of players did not kiss Blonde Blazer. And I and only 20% of players attacked the journalist. But I'm not sorry, okay? The journo deserved it. End of episode 1. Episode 2 starts off in the SDN lobby, where Robert meets and helps out a strange wet lad named Waterboy.
Phenomenal man.
I'm sorry, how did you just sit on that couch? That's when Blonde Blazer takes Robert to a private room and makes him strip.
Hey, yo!
No, not like that. Because Robert will be working with former supervillains, he can't be Mecha Man here, he simply has to be Robert. And here is where we meet the next important character, Invisigal, who was spying on both of them. She says she isn't looking forward to working with Robert, so I choose to give her a very inspirational speech.
So, out there or in here, we do what we can. We make the best of it.
And now is probably a good time to talk about Dispatch's romance mechanic. Because yes, you the player get to choose who Robert forms a romance with, Blonde Blazer or Invisigal. It's the hardest decision many will make while playing this game, because they're both great characters for different reasons. But I've got my heart set on someone else, and we'll talk about her later, trust me. Blazer then gives Robert a tour of the SDN offices, including the restroom where Robert meets a big cool dude named Royd, who's gonna be fixing the Mecha Man suit. Brofist, give him some love.
Right.
Robert catches back up with Blazer where he runs into Chase, a former speedster hero who was a friend of Robert's father and Robert himself. And unfortunately, he also ages horribly whenever he uses his powers. How old are you?
Then how old are you really?
I turned 39 a few months ago.
Oh crap! But Chase sits down Robert and introduces both him and the player to the Z team. So let's break down each of these characters by me ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. Coming in last place is Flambe. He's basically just the Human Torch and he's kind of a tool. Next is Coupe or Coupe or however you say her name. She's cool, just not one of my favorites. Next is Punch Up. He's a short little Irish fella who punches people. That's about it, but he's cool. Prism has light manipulation powers. Think of her like Spectrum from Marvel Comics. And she's also from Flint, Michigan, so that's a big oof. Go Buckeyes. Golem is one of my guys, my bros, my favorites. He just has a really funny design and I love his simple demeanor. Also, he's apparently a gamer and plays games with Invisigal, so I imagine they're getting a ton of really cool Battlefield 6 clips. The runner-up is, of course, Sonar. He's a cocaine-addicted crypto enthusiast, Harvard graduate, who just happens to be part bat. Really funny character with some really cool gameplay mechanics. But my absolute favorite character of the Z team is Malevola. Do I even need to say anything? Incredible design, incredible abilities, incredible personality. She's my GOAT. And yes, Malevola is a character I mentioned earlier who I plan on romancing. Some say, oh, it's not possible, or it's not in the game files, they literally didn't code it in. But I simply say they're not trying hard enough. So I plan on rejecting all the advances from Blonde Blazer and Invisigal in hopes that maybe Malevola will notice me. Maybe. But anyway, these characters and Invisigal are the ones who Robert will be dispatching throughout the game. And speaking of which, we jump right into our first shift. The gameplay loop for Dispatch is pretty simple, but also surprisingly fun. And if you don't know how it works, I'm gonna break it down. But if you already do, you can skip ahead to here. You get random calls with a scenario and clues about what type of hero is needed for each mission. And so you, as the dispatcher, has to interpret the call and pick the correct hero with the correlating stats. For instance, in my first call, I needed to pick a hero who could climb a 40-foot tall tree. So we're gonna need mobility. Sounds perfect for Invisigal.
Sure.
But even if you pick the character you think is right and is actually right, there's still a chance the mission could fail.
We're taking bets on when you'll quit.
Are you kidding me? It's pretty fun. Each mission is its own little casino, and I'm the gambling addict. But luckily, there are things to help improve your odds as the game progresses. Whenever a hero levels up, they get a skill point that you can put in any stat of your choosing. Also, each character has unique abilities that affect the gameplay as well. For instance, Sonar has two forms, Hybrid and Mutant form. After each time you send him out, he switches between the forms, and his Charisma and Intellect stats switch with his Combat and Vigor stats. And there are plenty of other gameplay things we'll talk about later, but besides some mission failures, the first shift went pretty well. Uh-oh. We're Are you kidding? We are not getting lucky, man. This part ends with a cutscene involving Invisigal attempting to stop a robbery at a bakery. She argues with Robert, doesn't listen to any of his orders, gets the victim injured, and winds up letting the perp escape. Clearly, a ton of dysfunction on this team. But she's kind of funny though, I guess.
So where's the perp, Lieutenant?
And after each shift, the game rewards you with a bonus skill point, and you can give that to any hero of your choosing. And I think we all know what I'm going to be doing with my bonus points. Yeah, all my bonus points are going to Malevola. I don't care. Let's go. After Robert's first shift, there are a few story cutscenes. Robert gets into a heated argument with Invisigal that ends with her socking him in the face. And so while lying on the floor, we get this interaction.
You gonna eat those Twinks?
Then Robert has a chat with Blonde Blazer, where we learn that she's dating another famous superhero.
Since the other night,
Blonde Blazer.
Ah, grab it! It's a Ultramite! You cannot convince me otherwise. This guy is just straight up Omni-Man. And they go off to dinner, leaving poor Robert all alone. Episode 2 is a great continuation of the story. It literally forces Robert into a new stage of his life, one where he can't be Mecha Man and he's forced to do something else, which we'll see progress over the next few episodes. And this is the beginning of the relationship between Robert and Vizzy. It starts rough, messy, unprofessional, but you can see the seeds of what's to come. And I had no interesting stats for this episode, so end of episode 2. Episode 3 begins with Robert and Royd taking the old Mecha Man suit to SDN to fix it. And it's mentioned how the suit is powered by something called an astral pulse, which will be very, very, very important later. Robert then introduces Beef to Chase, who just may be the purest soul in all of existence. Seriously, he's like the most beautiful brick I've ever seen. Blazer then pulls us into her office to tell us that in order to get the Z-Team into shape, she will be cutting the hero with the lowest score from the team. And currently on the leaderboard, the heroes toward the bottom are all the members of the Z-Team, with Invisigal in dead last. And I also noticed another name on that board. Big Chungus?
Smart ass. I can't
Who the
even
hell
tell you that
is
one of your
Big
team members is
Chungus?
in
Although all these superheroes at the SDN can fly, punch really hard, and are generally really good at their jobs, even they need a little help protecting their digital identity, and thankfully they can use the sponsor of today's video, Proton VPN. With over 100 million users today, Proton VPN is built by the same team of scientists behind Proton Mail from CERN. And while I may not be a superhero who can fight crime, I do something just as noble. I watch a ton of movies. But time and time again, I come across a movie I need to watch for a video, and I get that awful message. This content is unavailable in your region. This is where Proton VPN actually helps. All I need to do is select a server like Canada or the UK and connect. To Netflix, it looks like I'm there, so I can access that country's full catalog with no problem. And the best part is that there are over 15,000 servers in more than 120 countries. The VPN Plus servers are also optimized for streaming across every major platform up to 4K. Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, HBO Max, Hulu, Crunchyroll, and more. It also works on basically everything. Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, your phone, your laptop, your dog, whatever you have. So if you want the same freedom to watch whatever you want while also protecting your online identity, Proton VPN is the way to go. And right now with the Black Friday offer, you can get the VPN Plus plan for just $2.49 a month. That is 75% off, meaning you save $105. You can use the link in my description or head to protonvpn.com/anothernick to check out while the offer is still live. Thanks to Proton VPN for sponsoring this video, and now back to Blonde Blazer. She also tells Robert that she broke up with Phenomaman, and as we'll see, he's not taking it so well. But it's time for Robert's next shift, and this goes horribly wrong in every single way. All the characters are sabotaging each other, which means they aren't doing the missions like I tell them to. Are you kidding me? What is happening? I'm doing so bad. Everyone's failing missions, Golem goes down, it's all going horribly, horribly wrong. But at least there's one character who's not letting me down. 43%? Oh my goodness. I can't believe she actually pulled that off. Malevola's the GOAT, what can I say? This part of the shift ends with Vizzy tripping Malevola, who's in pursuit of a villain, them fighting, and Robert throwing in the towel and calling an emergency team meeting. At first, no one is taking it seriously, and Golem even accidentally knocks Robert to the floor, but they all eventually shut up when I choose to give him the chair.
Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
I understand your...
In this meeting, Robert addresses the Z-Team very bluntly, telling them how they were all wasted potential, and that they were here for a shot at redemption. Everyone seems to get the memo except for, of course, Invisigal, who is still causing problems.
You, Miss Hot Topic Sale. are at
Miss
the
Hot
bottom of the
Topic Sale
leaderboards.
is diabolical.
Have a better
There's a lot to say about this whole sequence, but most importantly, it establishes the core story of Dispatch as a game, and it also continues Robert's character story. Dispatch carries heavy themes of redemption and purpose. All the characters in some way struggle to find their true purpose. Most of them have done terrible things in their past and are on the road of making up for those things to become heroes. But Robert is different because he was already a hero, but because he lost the Mecha Man suit, he is now equally as purposeless as the rest of the Z-Team. And this whole meeting scene is simply another step on his journey of realizing that his new purpose is to be a mentor, a dispatcher, someone who makes heroes. But with that out of the way, it's time for the second shift of the episode that goes way smoother. I have Sonar serenade someone with his beautiful voice. I chose to shut down an underground fighting tournament, and despite one near miss, 67%, come on. Come on! Yes! Oh, that was so close. We ended this half of the shift with no failures at all. Friggin' huge. And of course we gave Malevola a bonus mobility stat, because why the heck not? This segment of the episode ends with Invisigal taking a smoke break on a playground.
So, today I'm going to be day drinking and smoking cigarettes in a public park at 2 p.m.
She says how she wants to give up the Z-Team, and how she was destined to become a villain because of her powers. But I tell her that she makes her own destiny, and that she shouldn't throw in the towel just yet. And wouldn't you know it, the same lightning dude she liked it away 2 times is back at it again. So she promotes smoking to some children and goes to stop them. During the scene in the jewelry store, we have to help Invisigal by hacking into a bunch of systems using these hacking mini games. And I think now is probably a good time to talk about them. They're very simple puzzle games. They kind of remind me of Bloxers from Cool Math Games back in the day. By the way, I remember when Bloxers came out for the first time and was put on Cool Math Games. I am, as the kids would say, unk status. And I don't like these games if only because I'm just kinda bad at them. I know, game journalist moment. But really, the time constraints and pushing the right keys at the right time make them a tough combination for me personally. But they do still add another layer to the game and help the player feel more involved in these different cutscenes. Like this one where Robert helps Vizzy take down Thunder, word I can't say on YouTube. She brings him in and the team celebrates, where we get this baller photo. And since Invisigal brought this guy in, she's no longer last on the leaderboard, which means Robert, and by extension I, had to choose who gets cut, Coop or Sonar. And this was a really tough decision. Oh no, what do I do? I was torn, because at this point in the game, I liked both of these characters. One's a coke addict, the other's a gambling addict. They're both literally me. But what helped make my final decision was reading the comics beforehand, and knowing that Sonar and Malevola are good friends. So I was worried that if I cut Sonar, Malevola wouldn't like me anymore, which made my decision much easier. I feel like it's gotta be Coop, right? Yeah, it's gotta be.
Coop.
It has to be.
I'm
Sonar
honest,
is
he
simply
still
just
feels
too
a
good,
little
alright?
evil.
It has to be Coop.
That's too.
So we let Coop go and she threatens to kill us or whatever. Invisigal has this cute moment where she's proud of her new score, and that's the end of episode 3. This is my favorite episode so far. It adds more depth to important characters like Robert and Vizzy, and this episode is where I feel the deeper story of Dispatch truly begins. Also, 65% of players decided to cut Coop, which I think for sure is the best decision. End of episode 3. So, I'm not really gonna talk about how episode 4 begins. I'll just say that Invisigal has a rather non-YouTube friendly dream about Robert. Hey yo, what the f— We pick back up with Robert waking up in his apartment and brother is looking rough. But there's something to be said about the horrific state of his living situation. He pretty much has nothing in there. He dedicated his whole life to being Mecha Man, and without it he no longer has a sense of purpose. He feels like an empty shell of a man, and his apartment reflects that beautifully. But as soon as he gets to work, a bunch of story stuff happens, so I'll go over it as quickly as I can. Punch-Up is really upset about me firing Coop and gets revenge by pulling a prank on Robert. Oh well, who cares? El Bozo. And Chase tells Robert that by the end of the day, we will be getting another character on our roster to replace Coop. Either Waterboy, who's not the best, but he's got the spirit, or Phenomaman, who is going through it. He is in such a rough shape that we have to try and give him a pep talk. Oh no. Homeboy's really going through it. And we get a couple instances during this part of the episode where Vizzy is flirting with Robert, and that was spurred on by the dream she had. But she's not Malevola, so I don't really care.
I could be anywhere.
But with all that said and done, it's time for the next shift. Nothing really crazy of note happens here at all. We had a ton of successes, some failures, and some friggin' nonsense failures. 61%, that's not bad. It's not bad. It's bad. It's so bad. Oh my goodness. Punch-Up leaves for a bit. That's kind of a bummer. But Malevola never fails once because she's the GOAT. We get a mid-game cutscene where Flambe gets in a scuffle with Waterboy, and so Robert humbles him a bit. Yeah. Spaghetti.
Oh, am I being a bully?
But that's when Blonde Blazer comes in to ask me what is one of the most important questions of the entire game. Who do I choose? Phenomaman or Waterboy? And this isn't even a contest. I knew right away. I don't trust Phenomaman because he's a Viltrumite, so we're going Waterboy.
Let's go with
Waterboy time. Yeah, I'm thinking Invincible just gave me some sort of trust issues regarding superpowered people with mustaches. But whatever, Waterboy's a legend. It's time for the second shift of the day, and Waterboy's officially added to the squad. And oh boy, are his stats terrible. Let me take a brief moment to break down how I'm distributing all the stats of each of these characters. For just about everyone, I was mainly using my points on their stats that were already good. For example, Sonar has great intellect and great charisma, so I put most of the points he earned into intellect and charisma. I made sure every character was really good in the categories they were supposed to be. But I took a different approach to Malevola and Waterboy. Malevola was the character who I juiced up completely. I wanted her to be absolutely jacked in every stat, and I think I actually kind of managed to achieve that. The bonus point I get after every shift certainly helps, and yes, I gave her the bonus point for this episode as well. And for Waterboy, I took a similar approach. He didn't become super strong or anything like that, but I evened out all of his scores so that he would be this great, well-rounded hero that could assist in just about any situation. And while that didn't really come into play during this episode, it certainly did for later in the game. But other than that, not a super eventful gameplay segment, except for of course Malevola crushing it again. I mean, come on. Oh, she's got this in the bag. Look at that. That's why she's the best. Also, I found out she has an ability where she can heal other heroes if she goes on a mission with them. Excuse me? See, she heals the team too. She is the best. After the shift, Robert walks beef, gives Waterboy a pep talk, and is asked to either go out on a date with Blonde Blazer or go see a movie with Vizzy. I don't really care about any of them, to be honest, but I'd rather go see a movie. I mean, it wasn't really a tough decision at all. I'm a movie guy, that's kind of like my whole personality. So of course I'm gonna go see a movie with my friend. Wow, look at that. Two good friends enjoying a movie together. How wholesome. And that's a wrap on episode 4. I know this is a bunch of people's favorite episode, but for the sake of this playthrough, not so much for me. It's still good, don't get me wrong. I do like the development it gives to the characters, but this really is a romance-forward episode, except it wasn't romance-forward with Malevola. But the movie theater date was still kinda cute, I guess. I don't know. Good episode all around that progresses the story pretty well. My only interesting stats were that Malevola was my most sent out hero, and also my most successful hero, so we stay winning. End of episode 4. Episode 5 opens with Robert working out, trying to fix up his body a bit while also remembering a time he fought a certain unnamed fiery villain. Gee, I wonder who that could be. And by some coincidence, a totally unrelated fire villain shows up and does squats to intimidate him. And despite me not liking Flambe that much, I do enjoy the pettiness between these two characters. But there's no other story stuff in the beginning, so we jump straight into the next shift. And here is where we get a new game feature. On some missions, stacking too many stats can actually result in an automatic loss. So it's this balancing act where you have to send enough heroes with the right stats to do the mission well, but not too many that you automatically lose. And I just barely managed to pull through on my very first one of these with a 41% chance of success.
That's the nicest thing you've ever
41%, we did it. Oh my goodness. That's the Waterboy difference right there. And after that, Robert finally has some kind of interaction with Malevola. Her and Prism are trying to guess which superhero Robert used to be, which results in this.
I'm explaining.
Oh shoot, look out.
What the fuck?
That's definitely an HR violation. Robert has a little scene with Chase, and Chase asks him if given the opportunity, would he kill Shroud? And I choose I'm not sure, because in that moment, I genuinely was not sure. That's just something that we'll have to explore later down the line. But break time is over and we're back to the next shift. And during this part, there's a citywide power outage, meaning everything is super hectic, there are situations everywhere, and you, the player, have to stop the city from crumbling and get each power grid back online. I think this is a really fun way to change up the gameplay loop. It adds more stakes because your decisions matter more, and it certainly makes the gameplay more challenging because while I did succeed in most of my missions, I did have a few very unfortunate close losses. Flambe, you suck. You suck so much, Flambe.
Oh, so close.
Oh, you're terrible. Oh, he's dead! But we ended this part with 14 successes and a fresh mobility stat for Malevola. Robert is invited by the Z team to go to a villain bar called the Sardine, which you can't convince me isn't just the Salty Spittoon 2.0. Inside, Invisigal mentions how this is our second date, but whoa. Cool the brakes, champ, alright? That was not a date. Ma'am, that was not a date, alright? I just wanted to go see a movie. It looked pretty good. I heard it got good reviews, okay? Moist Critical said, oh, it's amazing. You know, I wanted to go see it, alright? But despite that awkward interaction, Robert gets to buy drinks for Malevola. And the whole rest of the team, I guess, whatever. But Sonar does thank me for keeping him on the team, so that's pretty cool. Robert has another chat with Vizzy where she says how he should tell the team that he is Mecha Man, but he's not so sure. Because not only was he the one who caused Flambe to knock his front tooth out, but he also cut off 2 of Flambe's fingers in a previous fight. Also during this part, Flambe is actually kind of killing it on the mic.
Bitch, my name's Robert, such a bitch whose name is Robert. I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch. I'm such a fucking bitch.
Dang, this guy is starting to grow on me. But then this guy with tiny arms starts causing trouble, so, well, it's time to fight. Or not, never mind. Nah, but really, the scene of the gang all gathered together for 3 a.m. tacos, edited together with the actual bar fight, is genius. This is one of my favorite parts of the entire game. We get a ton of wholesome character moments like this.
Try this.
Oh, and my left arm is feeling numb. That's new. And then we also get quick time events during the bar fight that pull the player back in and make that fight sequence much more engaging. Also, I feel it's important to mention how Robert Robertson really is that dude, because brother has no powers but is still easily taking out these guys all by himself. But this sequence ends with the team questioning what superhero Robert is, and the player is given a choice: deflect or tell the truth.
I'm Mecha Man.
Robert has his I am Iron Man moment, which most of the characters respond well to and respect, except for Flambe, who of course tries to kill Robert, but luckily Golem and Waterboy are there to stop him. So he flies away, and we have this really sweet moment where the team introduces themselves with their real names: Courtney, Herm, Victor, Alice, Bruno, Cullum, and Malevola, whose last name is Gibb. And that's how the episode ends. Episode 5 feels very rewarding for the overarching story. Not only is Robert forming closer bonds to all the characters, and his influence has begun to forge them into genuine heroes, but enough trust was built up to the point where Robert was willing to tell them that he's Mecha Man. And while Robert still does want to become Mecha Man again, he's beginning to see the value in simply being Robert. And his mentoring of Vizzy and the other members of the Z team is shifting into his top priority. My only interesting stat was I was part of 4% of people who told Vizzy it was not a date, which I found pretty shocking. But nonetheless, end of episode 5. Episode 6 opens up with yet another Astral Pulse test. The entire team watches as it seems like the new Mecha Man suit works. But not really. It starts smoking like crazy, and Robert explodes for the 2nd time this season. Robert wakes up to the sight of a very sad looking Royd, a very worried looking Chase, and a very chunky looking Beef. I choose to give Royd some much needed encouragement, but then Robert and Chase get into a conversation that winds up about Invisigal. Something I haven't mentioned until now is how Chase for some reason completely hates Invisigal. He doesn't trust her, he thinks she's a villain through and through, and he's the representation of all the doubts she experiences. And we'll see how that develops later, but for now, while we're on the subject of Chase, can we talk about how stacked the voice cast for Dispatch is? First of all, Robert Robertson is played by Aaron Paul. We all know Aaron Paul. Breaking Bad, Invincible, The Price is Right. He's a great actor, and his vocal work here for Robert Robertson is kinda unrecognizable. I don't really hear Aaron Paul, I just kinda hear the character. Invisigal is played by Laura Bailey, who's done a stupid amount of popular voice roles, and she is so good here as Invisigal. She's very funny and brings the character to life, but she also captures the more complex side to Vizzy extremely well. And the rest of the cast is fantastic too. Aaron Yvette as Blonde Blazer, Lance Kanstopoulos as Flambe, Mayana Baron as Coop, Travis Willingham as Phenomenon, Joel Haver as Waterboy, Tenoy Reed as Royd, Alana Pierce as Malevola, Young Gravy as Golem, Thought Squad as Prism, Matthew Mercer as Shroud, but then of course you have freaking Jeffrey Wright as Chase. That's right, Commissioner Gordon, Uatu the Watcher, Academy Award nominated Jeffrey Wright. Absolutely insane. This whole cast is so darn good and perfect for their respective characters. But as a YouTuber and someone who grew up watching YouTube, there's 2 cast members that are my personal favorites. Friggin' Jacksepticeye as Punch Up, and Moist Critical as Sonar.
Terrorists have infiltrated a local Burger King. Oh, jeez.
I've been a fan of these 2 for years, and they were both so good as their respective characters. Robert realizes he doesn't get paid for sick leave, so back to the wage cage he goes. And we start the next shift. And besides some very narrow losses, 60% is not bad. It's awful. It's, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? There is really nothing to report here. After the test failure, Robert goes home to sulk when this happens. No way.
60% is not bad. It's awful. It's, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? After the test failure, Robert goes home to sulk when this happens. 60% is not bad. It's awful. It's, oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
60% is not bad. It's no way. It's finally happening. Let's go. Oh wait, there's other people here. Dang it. No, I sadly did not unlock some secret Malevola romance option. Invisigal is throwing Robert a surprise housewarming party, which honestly is a pretty funny part of the game. Everyone's here, and there's even a funny little bit where Vizzy told all the Z team members to bring a lamp or something, and each and every one of these morons brings a lamp. Like, you can't convince me Sonar didn't just swipe that thing from an IKEA display or something. But the lamps actually have narrative relevance. During my coverage of episode 4, I mentioned how Robert's empty apartment reflected the emptiness of his life. Well, here is the Z team literally filling his empty apartment, filling his empty life. These goobers have become his new purpose. During the party, there's a fun moment where Robert is in the corner like, they don't know I'm Mecha Man or something like that. And then Vizzy drags him away to dance. Oh, this is nice. This is good. I'd rather be dancing with Malevola, but whatever. Also during this scene, Royd and Vizzy devise a plan to get Robert the Astral Pulse, because they actually managed to find the location of it. This causes a big argument because Vizzy wants to go now, Blonde Blazer says they should wait, Chase is just mean and drunk and verbally attacking Vizzy, and I'm in the corner, not sure what to do, feeling like a kid whose parents are getting divorced. I push the right combination of buttons for Vizzy to storm out, Chase to get socked in the face, and for the party to be over. Oh, and Flambe comes back. Uh-oh. Yeah. After that, Robert has a heart-to-heart with Chase, but that's when things go from bad to worse, as Vizzy went to retrieve the Astral Pulse alone, and now needs Robert's help to find it. This sequence is intense, exciting, and full of those stupid hacking puzzles that I completely suck at. There you go. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, God damn it. Ugh. Are you kidding me? I'm losing my mind here, dude. But we persevere anyway, and just as Vizzy starts to leave, she's attacked by Shroud. It's not looking good. There's nothing that Robert can do, and then...
Keep up.
Oh no! 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 Oh, crap. Chase uses his powers that are too dangerous for him to use. He manages to save Invisigal, but then he collapses on the floor. His fate unknown. What a depressing cliffhanger for the episode, but this is another example of the core themes of Dispatch. Because she's so willing to prove herself as a hero, Vizzy goes in to get the Astral Pulse all alone. This decision makes perfect sense for her character at this point, and the ending for this episode is a solid turning point for the story. End of episode 6. Let me tell ya, the week between episode 6 and 7 was one very long week for every Dispatch fan out there. And this episode opens with some emotional damage, as we see an earlier time where a young Robert was being babysat by Chase. Jump cut to the present day, and Chase isn't gone, but he's not doing well either. Blazer offers Robert some comfort, but he's clearly going through it. And as we learn as Robert starts his next shift, the Z team is also going through it. Invisigal is on suspension, and the other members are blaming her for what happened to Chase, especially Waterboy, who goes full demon mode for a second. Oh shit. But the next shift goes smoothly. Nothing really to report other than Golem getting so wasted, other heroes have to be sent to help him. But as Robert goes to leave, Punch Up is thrown through a door, and this here might actually be the single biggest decision of the entire game. Besides Golem, who's of course friends with Invisigal, the rest of the team wants her gone, cut from the team for good. And so I was faced with a difficult decision. Do I keep Vizzy on? Because even though she made a mistake, I believe in redemption. Or do I cut her from the team? Because that's what Malevola and really everyone else wants me to do.
No idea what to say.
No, what am I gonna do?
But that's what it is.
This is
And
too hard of a
why?
decision to be making this early in
Send
the
a message
morning.
to set a standard? Why is that talk now?
Defender. No, why did I pick that?
Look.
I instinctively chose to defend Invisigal, even though I immediately questioned why I did it. And I think I chose to defend her because to not defend her would go against the core story of the game. All of these former villains are here for their redemption. They've all made mistakes, and Invisigal is no different. So even though I second-guessed myself in that moment, I think I instinctively knew it was the correct choice. But there's no going back. Robert makes it clear to the team that he's not giving up on her, and this scene ends with the reveal that Invisigal was there and she was listening. So Robert catches up with her, and we get what is one of the most complex and emotionally impactful scenes of the entire game. She thinks that she's done, that there's no coming back from this. Robert outright tells her that he wants her to stay and continue to be a hero, but she comes clean to Robert that she has worked for Shroud before. She has augments that he gave her, she's the one that planted the bomb that destroyed the Mecha Man suit, and she throws literally every possible reason at Robert for him to not trust her. And even after I choose to forgive her, she responds with the most devastating line of the entire game. game.
All I wanted from this was for you to look at me the same way you look at Blazer. Even if it was just once, you know? That'd have been enough.
Now, a lot of people interpret this line to mean that she wishes Robert would look at her with the same romantic feelings that he has for Blazer. But I don't think that's 100% accurate. What this line is really saying is that she wished she could have redeemed herself to the point where she could have been a hero like Blazer. That everything she's done in the story so far was to make up for her mistakes. And now she's giving up thinking that she might have blown her chance. It's a really powerful scene that ends with Vizzy trying to kiss Robert, trying to express her feelings for him, but yeah, we're gonna have to... That's a no for me. Sorry, we gotta hold true, okay? I'm sure the Malevola romance option is right around the corner. On episode 8, the final episode, Robert goes to a bar to drink away his feelings, where Moist Critical in 30 years is saying some very disrespectful things about blonde Blazer. Yeah, we're on glasses, dude. I don't care. It's time. Yep. And then this guy who strangely sounds like Matthew Mercer also doesn't like this guy. Oh, shoot! Yeah, this is Shroud. Like 100%. That's right. This is Shroud, and Robert has fallen into a trap. And our old friend Coop sneaks behind him and knocks him out. And now Robert's been beaten, tied upside down, and is being interrogated by Shroud. Let's take a beat and talk about the one aspect of Dispatch I don't absolutely love. And that's gonna be Shroud. He's a villain who's not all that developed. He wants the Astral Pulse. That's why he's interrogating Robert, because Invisigal secretly stole it at the end of episode 6. But Shroud's reasoning for wanting the pulse is that Robert's dad had at one point promised to help Shroud create one, but he didn't. So Shroud shot Robert's dad and now wants to shoot Robert with the same gun. It feels less thought out than it really should be. And I think Shroud could have been a more menacing and memorable villain if he was developed a little bit more. Blazer crashes into the salty spittoon and proves she's the toughest one there. So all the bad guys make like a tree and get out of there, and she takes Robert to their favorite billboard. And that's when crap hits the fan, explosions happen all over the city, and Shroud is enacting his final evil plan. And that's how episode 7 ends. The penultimate episode perfectly sets up the stakes for the finale. Not only does Shroud start his big assault here, and Coop has returned to take her revenge, but the emotional stakes are even higher, as Invisigal is on the verge of leaving the Z-Team and going back to being a villain, which would mean that Robert failed as a mentor. I did get some interesting stats this time around. 55% of players kept Invisigal. That's neat. Only 44% chose to forgive her, which also checks out. And then I was in the small 25% who chose to pull away from Invisigal because I'm simply built different. Also, Malevola was once again my most sent hero. End of episode 7. Before we talk about the final episode of Dispatch, I just want to mention, if you've made it this far into the video, that probably means you're enjoying it. So why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. We're getting closer and closer to 100,000, and once we do, I'm releasing a ranking of every Star Wars movie and show. So if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed. But now, it's time for episode 8. The season finale of Dispatch. This is a real whopper of an episode. It's nearly an hour and a half long, and man, is it a satisfying conclusion to this story. We open back up at the SDN offices as everyone prepares for the worst. The city is under attack, Blazer has to go out and help, and Robert is left in charge with a short lineup of available heroes. Seriously, at the start of this huge catastrophe, I'm stuck with Punch-Up, Prism, and Golem. And you might be wondering, why are Punch-Up and Prism stats in red? Well, I'm glad you asked. When I sided against the team and kept Invisigal on, it meant that during the most important shift of the entire friggin' game, all my heroes would have a low morale debuff except for Golem. And yeah, those lowered stats absolutely hurt me during these missions. 53%! Oh, goodness gracious. Dude, I'm gonna lose. 60% is at least better. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm currently going 1 for 4. I lose a hacker minigame. My city health bar is going down. It's looking bleak. But that's when she showed up.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh my goodness, thank goodness she's here. And she's got a low morale. It was looking dire. But now with Malevola, my goat, my best hero, we stood a chance. We start winning missions because of her. I start to fill out my roster once again. Things are finally looking up, but it's still too hectic and we need more assistance. And that's when Robert convinces Phenomenon to join the fray, and he's added to the roster. Things are going really well now, but then we encounter what can only be considered a boss battle. The SDN range of coverage expands, and Coop is taking territory. So we have to constantly fight her while dealing with other threats in the area and trying to stop the city from being destroyed. And I do surprisingly very well here, even having some incredibly close saves. Oh, 33% for Golem. Oh my goodness, he's goated! He did it! But this is the most difficult shift of the entire game, and it's becoming increasingly more challenging to manage which heroes are running back to SDN, which ones are resting, and which ones are good to go. And I am still failing a bunch of missions. So we get another cutscene where Robert tells all the heroes to not return to SDN, to stay out in the field as long as they can to cut down on cooldown time. But then Coop starts straight up attacking my heroes and injuring them, which lowers their stats even more. And with my health bar looking like this, and Coop's looking like this, it's really not looking good. Waterboy almost loses an 8%er, but then we get the help we desperately need. What? 8%? Oh! Wait, what?
What the fuck is this?
I've gotcha.
We got Blazer on our team? Blonde Blazer has joined the chat, and thanks to her and her ridiculously huge stats, we're able to turn things around, save the city, and defeat Coop. That was an absolutely bonkers shift, but we're not done yet, because the power cuts out and now SDN is under attack. Robert leaves beef with Chase and makes sure he's fine, and then goes to find Royd in the Mecha Man suit. But Royd, caught in Visigal with the Astral Pulse, thinks that she's a traitor, and now the two are fighting. Coop and the other goons are making their way through the building, so Royd ties up Visigal and leaves her to go turn the power back on. Robert questions Vizzy on why she didn't tell him that she had the pulse. She says that she did it to protect him in case Shroud decided to go after Robert, which doesn't seem like a very honest answer, but a killer named Thumbstick is approaching, so we have to make a choice. Do we fight alone or trust Vizzy and untie her? I'm trusting her. I'm trusting her.
God damn it. All right.
I'm trusting her. Look, call me naive, call me too trusting, I don't care. I believe in people, gosh dang it, and I think this act of trust will push Vizzy towards staying on the hero side. Thumbstick approaches, and there's this really funny moment where you think it's gonna be a huge, tense battle, but bro just has to take a whiz, and so Vizzy shoots the guy. And then they have an argument about whether they should put his dingle and cherries away because that would be the dignified thing to do. Yeah, nah, we're good. Robert and Vizzy split up, and now it's finally time to help Royd, who's now in trouble. Robert Robertson III becomes Mecha Man once more. Woohoo! This is so freaking awesome, dude. And the big M on the chest. Perfect. But Robert isn't the only one with a mecha, as Shroud shows up with his robot, which looks an awful lot like the one from The Incredibles. And now it's time to duke it out. There's a bunch of quick time events as Robert and Shroud do some dogfighting in their flying mechs, but either Robert is too rusty or Shroud's mecha is too much, because Robert is kinda losing. Blonde Blazer shows up to help, but even she gets trapped, except that's not Blonde Blazer, because the Z team has arrived. Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for! That's what I'm talking about! Woo! Everyone is here. It's this huge grand final battle, and let me tell ya, it's so cool seeing the story for these characters coming full circle. Thanks to Robert's mentorship, the player's mentorship, these former villains are now fighting beside you, putting their lives on the line for you. It's beautiful and epic, and the scene has some great moments.
He's got a special move.
He did the Henry Cavill thing. During the chaos, Robert and Blazer have their final fight with Coop. She's still pretty ticked off about us letting her go, which is fair. But hey, it wasn't my decision, you know, it was Blazer. She made me do it. There are some more quick time events. Robert clips her wings, and she falls out of the sky and out of the fight. We get a few different scenes of the Z team members fighting together. My favorite one in particular is the team up between Invisigal and Malevola. It's a cool moment seeing them beat up the tiny arms guy from episode 5. And it's nice to see that they bury the hatchet. Or the sword, I guess. But then Blazer gets shot down by Shroud, and so Robert lashes out by giving him the Wombo Combo Supreme. All right, we're messing him up. We're messing him up. We're doing it. Shroud nearly gets the best of Robert, but in a split-second save, Chase, who's now wearing Blonde Blazer's amulet, comes back to fight. They have a nice little reunion moment. Robert is relieved to see that Chase is back, but now it's time to end this. The entire Z team gathers together for one final assault on Shroud. They mess him up, Invisigal gives him a bomb and a middle finger, Banana Man sets up the alley-oop, and Robert flies up to Shroud where we're given an option. Get over here! Oh shoot. And he finishes the fight in the coolest way possible. The team celebrates for a moment, but Shroud's not dead yet, and he's taken Beef as a hostage. You know what? You gotta give it to the game devs. They really knew how to make everyone hate Shroud. They took the John Wick approach. Kind of a baller move, I can't lie. Shroud wants the Astral Pulse in exchange for beef, and he tells Robert to not give him the faulty Astral Pulse that's also in the Mecha Man suit. Also during his speech, he drops a bomb saying that Vizzy was a plant. That feels great after having trusted her this many times. But here we have to make a choice. Give him the prototype. Yeah, let's do that. Shroud immediately knows it's a faulty prototype and tosses it away, so we wind up giving him the real one in exchange for beef. He puts the pulse in his head and brother starts geeking out. I mean, he's enjoying it entirely too much, as is the rest of his goons who are also getting a power boost, I guess via Bluetooth or something. I'm not really sure how that works. But now all powered up, Shroud takes his final revenge on the Robertson family and tries to shoot Robert. But then, wait, no, Vizzy's there, isn't she? No! Vizzy took the bullet for us, and my constant trust in her paid off big time. The sight of seeing his friend injured sends Robert over the edge, and he goes to town on Shroud. He is beating the mustache off this dude. The other Z-Team members fight back as well, and after having beat Shroud to a literal pulp, we get a choice. Kill him or spare him. Oh, what do I do? Let's spare him. That's not what heroes do. A lot of people aren't going to like my decision, but I stand by it. He's already beaten, and killing him won't change anything he's already done. And besides, Robert's a hero, and that's not what heroes do. Robert checks on Vizzy, and this is the moment of the game. A single shot where the entire story comes full circle, and both Robert and Invisigal's character arcs are completed. Robert picks her up, the sun shines through the clouds, and they smile. Vizzy doesn't smile because the good guys won and the villains are taken care of. She smiles because Robert finally sees her like she always wanted to be seen. He sees her as a hero. She finally found her redemption. And Robert isn't happy because he gets to be Mecha Man again. He's happy because his mentorship of Vizzy and the other members of the Z-Team paid off. He made a difference in the world outside of Mecha Man. He finally, here and now, found his purpose. The entire story of Dispatch leads up to this one singular moment, and man, is it beautiful. But Invisigal falls and dies from her injuries. End of game. Nah, I'm just kidding. She gets rolled away on a stretcher. Chase introduces the world to the Z-Team. I decide to forgive Coop and she's welcomed back onto the Z-Team. Robert and Blazer share one last conversation together, but then he's pulled away for a group photo with every member of the Z-Team. And that's the true end of Dispatch. All in all, this is a phenomenal game, and one of the best superhero stories I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing. Is it the greatest superhero story of all time? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but the themes of purpose and redemption are so prominent and consistent all throughout. All the characters are uniquely crafted and lovable in their own ways. And most importantly, this game has a soul, and you can tell that so much love was poured into the crafting of it. And even though I just broke down my entire playthrough, I recommend everyone go out and play the game for yourself, because your playthrough will be different than mine. Based on the choices that you make, each experience will be unique. Let's end this video by taking a look at my final stats for this game. I and only 37% of players showed Shroud mercy. I and only 69% of players supported Invisigal, leading her to embrace heroism over villainy, which just means 31% of you lost the game. You failed at what you were supposed to do. I and only 4% of players did not fall for anyone, which is both funny and not true. I fell for Malevola. She just didn't fall for me. And that's fine, that's okay, we can move on. I and 70% of players welcomed Coop back onto the Z-Team, which I think makes sense. I didn't really want to cut her in the first place. I got the True Hero Award because my Robert always tried to do the right thing, which includes beating up the reporter in the beginning of the game, I guess. And finally, my last two stats are the most important. My overall most sent hero was Malevola, and my overall most successful hero was also Malevola, because like I've been saying, and like I will continue to say, Malevola is the GOAT. Thank you so much for watching my video on Dispatch. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy this video here.